Welcome to the Strategic Management course. In this session, we will be talking about the alternates which, as an strategic management personnel, you need to ask from yourself. And these are the alternates which will help you guide to formulate the strategies. The specific question which one asks is why I am into this business. As in our previous meetings, we did talk about the mission and the vision statement. This is where they ask. You should ask yourself why we are into this business. What were the reasons where we went into this business? Why did we have these strategies? If the strategies are not working as per your designs, as per your formulas, as per your wishes, why the strategies are not working, why the failure of strategies are taking place, why is the answer which you have to look for through these alternates or these matrices which we will be talking about in our today's lecture. In strategy analysis and choices, the very first thing is you need to generate alternatives. The question is, which you should be asking yourself, why do I need to have alternates if I have formulated the strategy? The answer to this is participation in generating alternative strategies should be as broad as possible. As a manager, people make a mistake. They don't go for the broader sense of formulation of strategies. They look into the smaller aspects of it. They design their strategies and they move on. That is where the things don't work as per the manager's plans, as per the manager's missions, as per the organization's vision. The thing is this, that's where you should ask yourself, is it time for me to have alternate strategies? You will definitely come up with the answer, yes. There are three different stages when we have comprehensive strategy formulation framework. In stage one, we look into the input stage. What is your input stage? This is the question you should ask yourself. The input stage is where you are gathering all the information from the organization and from the customers and the consumers, where you bring in all the information, bring in all the necessary required things inside your organization, and you look for the best strategy, and then along with it you look for the best alternates. In stage two, we match the stages, which matching the stages means we match between stage one and stage two. Have we all the necessary information as an input for the organization? Again, as a manager, you are the one to ask these questions from yourself, from your team, or people who are working on that particular project. Stage three is the decision stage. Decision stage is where you should decide, have I achieved the best possible strategy along with the alternates? If the answer is yes, then yes, you have achieved that stage, which is of your decision stage. In formulation analytical framework, we have internal factor evaluation matrices, also known as IFE. This is your stage one, where you are getting all your internal factors evaluated. Have you hired the right personnel to work for you? Do you have the right manager who is guiding the entire team to achieve that certain task, to achieve that goal of the organization? And do you have the right resources in your organization which can be put in, and for that you need to for that you are getting your outputs in advance in a positive way. The second one is external factor evaluation matrices, which is known as EFE. And the third input stage matrices which we look into it is competitive profile matrices, also known as CPM. Now, there are many other matrices which we can talk about, but the best matrices or the best formulation of alternate which you can go along with is by looking into the matrices of which is known as Boston Consultant Group. There are other matrices which helps you to get your inputs, which are known as your space matrices, which are known as your, which I have already described, your IFE, EFE and CPM matrices. In Boston Consultant Group, what we look into it, this comes into your stage, that Boston Consultant Group is basically a broader matrices. It gives you a wider range of things to look into it. And then when you have asked yourself, have I covered all my weaknesses? Have I covered all my opportunities? Have I eliminated all my threats? Have I looked into all the strengths I have? That is your major implication, or that is your major flaw where businesses do suffer. People, they tend to overlook this thing. You, for instance, ask yourself, I'm into this business and I have other competitors into this business. They are doing perfectly well. They are earning money, they are satisfying the needs and wants of the customers and the consumers. Why or what is that reason for which I am not getting those desired results? The answer to this is, maybe you have not looked into your weaknesses. Maybe you have not looked into your threats. You are having opportunities, you are having strengths. Are you implying them? That is the major thing which you need to answer. This BCG matrix looks into this thing, that you are having a broader picture. You can analyze things. You can look into the firm of yours and as well as others. It doesn't mean that other matrices does not allow you to look into other firms. It does. But this is, as I've mentioned, it is a broader matrices which we look into it, and we have this opportunity to work with this BCG matrix and get our desired results along with the alternates. As we move along, you will definitely have many questions to ask, which I'll be asking you as well, that why we are doing this particular step in this matrices and why we are getting our desired results. Moving along, BCG, also known as Boston Concentric Group Matrix, it enhances the multi-dimensional firm formulating strategies. Multi-dimensional. None of the other matrices, those three which I have defined you very briefly in stage 1, they looked into the internal factors, smaller things, right? Hiring the right person, having the right department to work for your organization, giving a certain task to a certain manager who can fulfill. I mean, everything is on a smaller scale, right? Whereas this very first thing, multidimensional, you're looking into the inside as well as the outside world. You are looking into the different aspects. You are looking as well as companies which are working in a similar fashion across the borders. You are looking everywhere. You have multi-dimensional formulating factors in it which you look into it. That's why we give in strategic management more importance to BCG matrices. It is autonomous, it's autonomous division which is equals to your business portfolio, meaning you should be asking yourself, what is this autonomous division which is equal to your business portfolio? Your business portfolio is the entire summary or summarization of your business, what your business is all about, and you divide these things. Okay, or you have divisions of different bodies, you have division of different formulations, you have division of different alternates which you look into it. If this thing doesn't work, I will look into this factor, I will look into this alternate, I will look into this matrix, I will look into this strategy. See, you're looking into a broader picture. Other matrices, they have smaller implications. As I'm repeating myself again and again, I want you people to remember these things, that this matrix is your major matrix, and you don't need to spend your resources, you don't need to spend your time, your human resource, your financial resources, any and all the other resources into these small net grids of the matrices. BCG is a matrix which you look into it and you answer most of the questions. Division may compete in different industries. See, now we have talked about the business. Now we are moving into the industry. Why? BCG matrix helps you to look into the industries as well. Other matrices, your SWOT analysis, your IFE, CPM, EFE, these are the matrices which look into the smaller segment of the business. BCG matrix helps you to move from a business to an industry. You can ask yourself, if I want to start a business today, which is on a smaller scale, can I move from this business to a larger business, which is an industry? Any industry? The answer to this question is yes, of course. Normally, that's what business people, that's what business managers, they do. They start from smaller places, they move on to the organization. What if the organization you're working in, they are in a smaller business? With the passage of time, with your efforts and with your time and with your expertise and with your good strategies and good alternative strategies, those businesses have grown to a size where they can become industry. Don't you think that you have looked into these factors before you went into the job market, before you even started your own business? The answer again to this question is yes, you have done your homework. How? By following the BCG matrix. The good part about BCG matrix is it focuses on market share, position and industry growth rate. Not to the smaller segments, not to the smaller factors of the market, they also look at the growth of your industries. For any country to be a successful country, to be a developed country, they need to look into their industries as well. Those countries who look into the businesses only, they don't tend to move that fast as compared to those countries which look into their industries more than their individual businesses. And by there, I don't mean government business. What I mean is general public business. They allow people to move from a smaller business to industry because industry is a revenue generation for the government sector. That's where these things help. And again, this matrix, this BCG matrix is the one which helps you get along to these things. It has relative market share position as well, ratio of a division's own market share in an industry to the market share held by the largest rival firm in that industry. What does it mean that it has a relative market share position? In your BCG matrix, when we will move along, I will show you the table of it. What it tells you is that the relevancy of your industry or your business, is it equal or a lesser to the same sort of business which is in the market or or the industry which is out there who's becoming your competitor, and who is having good market share, larger market share, your industry, your business, or that other competitor's business. Its relevancy matters a lot. Why? Because again, this matrices gives you a broader outlook. This matrices tells you that this is what you have to look into it. You basically formulate certain alternative strategies in such a way that there are no more question marks, there are no more other stages, which helps you to think again. Am I doing the right business? Am I making the right strategies? Am I following the right alternatives? What am I doing? Right or wrong, that is you to decide. In your relative market share, as you can see, I have these 4 quadrants, which are basically from high, medium, low, or you can do it vice versa, low, medium, high. And there are there is a star quadrant, there is a question mark quadrant, then we call it a cash cow quadrant, and the final quadrant, which is of your dog quadrant. What these question marks, they do for you? They are basically low relative market share. It competes in high growth industry, meaning they are into industry, right? They have growth, but relatively their market share is low. The question over here is, do you want to be into a business where you're competing with a high industrial growth? Industries are going on a higher rate, but your market share, your customers, your profits, your penetration to the market is on the lower side? What will be your answer? It should be no. This is not my type of a business. I want to be in an industry where I am having equal amount of share of market as well as growth of my business or my industry. You need high cash for this question mark stage, and generation is low. You are just putting in your cash at all times, and you are getting money back in the shape of profit, or just your even account receivables, or your money back to you is on a very slow rate. At this particular stage, each one of you should be asking yourself a question: what sort of a business is this, where I'm putting my money into it, but in return I'm not getting anything back? Yes, you are right. This business is not for any of the economies for today's day and age. Reason is, it's a very, very sharp business world out there, where people are competing with each other on a very tough basis, very competitive basis. You make one mistake, they make sure, your competitors make sure that you are out of the market. You don't want to do that. Then again, there are certain businesses in which people think about it: fine, I have money, I'll put this money into this business. Fine, my generation is low, I'll get the money back, but eventually, with the passage of time, I will make money. But the thing is this, the question arises over here: how long can you wait? If you wait for a longer period of time, go for it. But then again, are you really looking into a good alternate? In my opinion, no. As I've said it, it's a very tough competition out in the real world, where you need to be on your toes at all times, and you need to be in a business where you are putting in some money, but your return is really good, and you are, from that money, you are generating more funds, you're expanding your business from that money, and you're moving along. What those stages are? Before we move on, in this stage, you need to take a decision, that the decision to strengthen, which is that intensive strategies, or divest. What this particular statement says, that your decisions should be strong enough, okay, strong enough in this regard, that yes, I am willing to put in more money, no matter what, if I'm getting lesser money amount back. But I'm willing to do that. Your decision should be strong enough, with good alternatives. But in my opinion, in my all honest opinion and experience, I will never suggest anybody to do this thing. You can also think of this particular question, this particular scenario: do you really want to be in a business like this? You will definitely come up with the answer, no. In a star stage, it's a high relative market share and high growth rate. It is also known as, it can be looked into it, that it's best long run opportunities for growth and profitability. Stars, something which you can see, something which shines, something which is out there, right? Your relevancy, your market share is good because you are having high growth. The more money you put in, the more profit you get back. The more customers you get, the more industries expansion goes on, the more of everything with the business. Question is, don't you think this is the favorable industry, this is a favorable scenario for all the business people out there? You as a manager should be thinking in these lines. Star is the stage where I should be, because I am putting in some amount of money and I am getting a good rate, high rate of return on it, on my investments. You should be looking into these factors. Why? Because they have long run effects. These businesses, they tend to stay in the market for a longer period of time because of their growth potentiality and their profitability which is there. Definitely, any business which has growth potentials, that business have profit potentials along with it. Substantiate investment to maintain or strengthen dominant position, right? What does it mean? That whatever investments you are making, or you are maintaining investments in that, you are strengthening your position in the market. Reason is that it's your money, or you have loaned that money, or people have joined hands with you as a partnership or on a joint venture, and you are getting stronger. Why? Because everybody knows that yes, this person has an expertise, this person can run a business, and this person can earn high profits. He's in a star stage. So you basically look for that position as well. Integration strategies, intensive strategies, and joint ventures, which I've already mentioned, that why you have more money in it, Either it can be yours if you have that money, or you can have joint ventures, you can have partnerships, you can have people investing with you, you can have banks loaning money to you. The more money you have, the more profits you have. But then again, you need to grow your industry in that market on a faster pace. You should be on a faster track. You should be looking for the best alternates. You should be looking at the best strategies. You should be making strong strategies to remain or to start your business in a start stage. Next step in this matrices is about cash cows. They are high relative market share, competes in low growth industry. You have industry, you have people working in that, but the thing is its growth has come down. If you remember that particular stage, that particular graph of a product or an industry, which we call that you start something, it's fresh, it's on the rise, that's the beginning stage of a product or the industry, and then the maturity stage comes. That is the point where you basically sustain your industry, sustain your business, sustain your position in the market, because now you are in a mature stage. At this particular point, one asks question, and you should be asking yourself as well. I have come to a maturity of my business, product, service, industry, whatever that is. What is that strategy or what is that alternate I should have, that I should sustain myself or I should keep myself to this particular maturity stage for a longer period of time? Or instead of moving to any downward side, I should be going little further up because there is a chance of it. The best answer to this question is, whenever there is a change, you need to change your industry. You need to change your business. Diversification. That's a very big thing. For a manager, diversification is the key for success. For the organization, diversification or change is the key to the success. Every change happens, you change along with it. That change is the surety of you sustaining or maintaining that maturity stage for a longer period of time as compared to the others. In this particular stage, this cash cow stage is a stage where people as managers, they don't have that alternate which I've just shared it with you, and then they go for the decline stage. Why? Because your industry growth is now getting on a low side. You are putting in more money, but that money is going in a waste. You don't want to do that. All the resources which you are making, you need to keep them, you need to invest them in such a way that you should remain in the market, you should remain in the industry for a longer period of time. It generates cash in excess of their needs, excess of your needs. That is not good for a business as well. Why? Milked for other purposes. Now you are getting excess cash, okay? You don't need to invest the same amount of cash into your business, but now you are milking some other ways. What does it mean? That you are looking for other business. As a manager or as an entrepreneur, the question arises over here, and which you should be asking among yourselves. I have excess money. I don't need this money because all my needs and my wants are fulfilled. Let's put this money somewhere else where I can make more money. As an entrepreneur, as a manager, have you decided the good strategy? The answer to this one is no. You never know what's going to happen next with this particular business, but you need to save this money. You need to keep this money for that particular change, for that particular diversification which I just mentioned. Maybe there is a big change of technology is going to happen and you need a lot of cash. What happened to that cash? You have already invested somewhere else. Was that a good decision? Some people will say, of course you will be saying the same thing, yes. For that specific moment, yes, your answer is right. But for a longer run, for a longer term, the answer is no, I made a mistake. Why? Because all the organizations, industries, entrepreneurs, service industries, they look into this thing that whenever that change is coming, we should have our resources allocated for that so that we can adapt that change, so that we can have enough cash. But the thing is this, how long you can keep this cash? Again, this is where you have to answer yourself. This is where you have to make the strategy. This is where you have to look into the alternates. It maintains a strong position as long as possible. Product development, concentric diversification, and if weakens, it retrenches or diverges. Maintains a strong position as long as possible. Something which we are assuming, yes, I can maintain position. You should be asking yourself, for how long? A day, a week, a month, a year, a decade? You're not sure about the right answer. Reason is that there is no certain answer for it, right? If you can come up with the right answer, then yes, you can always have the diversification within the organization. Hiring new people with new technologies, getting in new technologies into your organization, putting in the new machinery, automated machinery, robotic machinery, where people, where your work is up to the mark, where you are getting more work done and you are satisfying the needs of the people. But if it weakens, and remember, there is always a opposite of whatever you are planning to do. If you are thinking of the strengths, you have weaknesses. If you're talking about these opportunities, you have threats. In this particular statement, we did talk about the strengths, product development. But then again, if it weakens, if your product doesn't develop, why? Because you haven't diversified, you haven't changed. The thing is this, you will not remain there, and then you will retrench, you will look into something new, you will look for the new ways. At this particular point, what I would suggest is each one of you think for a while that when you are looking for that change, was that the right time for you to change? Maybe not. Why? Because your competitor already changed and you are far left behind him. That is wrong. You want to be in the market, you want to be in the market before anybody else can come in, then you need to do things before. But then again, did you look into a good alternate? For me, by sensing these things, no, your alternate was wrong. You should have stuck with that star position where your income and your growth is at par and you are developing yourself, you are growing your industry, you are doing right alternatives, you are making right strategies. In dog stage, they have low relative market share. It competes in slow and no market growth. Simple. Business has come down to a decline stage. Remember, I was talking about that beginning, maturity. Now this stage is a decline stage. You have entered into the market, you have entered into a business, you have entered into a time where basically your share is very slow. People have stopped buying your product because you haven't made any right alternates. You haven't made any right strategies. You have low market share. You have slowed down. You are not doing anything. Your product is same. People are tired of using your product. People are tired of using that same service over and over again. Reason, you haven't changed. You haven't diversified. It's a weak internal and external position. You haven't changed inside your organization and you haven't changed outside your organization as well. Inside, technological change, you didn't adopt that. You were supposed to hire the new people, you were supposed to hire fresh managers who have new technologies, new visions, new missions, new strategies, new alternatives. You haven't hired them, you're still with those same old people who have outdated their experiences, whose growth has stopped. That's where your industry's growth stopped. That's where your product growth is stopped. Look around yourself. Is there any business, any manufacturing business, any service industry, any retail, any wholesale business, anything which is around you, have they stopped? Have they stopped to cease? You may be saying, yes, there are certain businesses. Yes, you're right. There are certain businesses which have stopped, cease. Why? because they have not sustained that particular stage of maturity where they should have been right now, and they should have been bringing in the changes, or they should have diversified. They should have crossed the border. They should have made something new. They should have innovated some new products. They should have some new alternatives. They should have good strategies to remain in the market. But unfortunately, they have played their part in the business world. Now they have come to a place where things are slowing down and where things are going off the record. What happens when a business gets into this particular stage? Either they liquidate, they divestiture, or they retrench. Meaning, end of the business. As a business students, you should all ask yourself, was that the right thing to do for a business for whom you have spent good amount of time with you? As a manager, you should be thinking also, have I done the right thing by staying in this organization for a longer period of time, for say 10, 15, 20 years, or maybe more? Now this organization couldn't grow because of your wrong strategies. Yes, you're thinking right. That instead of following those patterns, you should have been changing, you should have been diversifying yourself, you should have been bringing in those new things in your industry, in your businesses, in your organizations, so that you could have stayed here for a longer period of time. Okay, this is a broader picture. As I've mentioned, BCG Matrices is a broader picture which gives us good alternatives, which gives us good strategies to look into it. I did mention about that we have other strategies, SWOT, SPACE, IE, and GSM, also known as Grand Strategy Matrices. These matrices look into the broader picture, smaller pictures. Either they look into the internal or they look into the external. BCG is a matrix which you should be following at all times. I hope you have this particular segment where what your dog stage, star stage, cash cow stage, and your other stages they do with this particular thing, and what alternate as a manager you are looking into it. You follow BCG Matrices, I assure you that your organizations, your businesses, you as a managers will never fail. You always come up with these strategies, you always come up with good alternates, and that is the job of a manager.